What's up, everybody? Welcome to the HJK podcast. Today I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Brittany. What's up, Brittany? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. And you could just, if it's too high, if it's impeding your like view of like me, yeah, just move it around.
I bet.
Just be as relaxed as you can, because you know what I mean, it's just a podcast. We just had chilling. Brittany wears a lot of hats, man. She's a phenomenal photographer. When I say phenomenal, probably one of the best photographers that I have on my Instagram social media friends list. She has a YouTube that I'm gonna definitely link in the description down below, as well as she has a branding company that she does. And we're going to get into a little bit about that on the podcast too. And then she also does affiliate marketing. For people that don't know affiliate marketing, hey, watch this podcast. She's going to put you on game. All right. Brittany, what's going on in your life right now that you could talk about?
A lot. I mean, I'm a new mom, as you know. My daughter is about to be 7 months old this month.
Congrats.
Thank you. You too.
6 months, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a mom. I'm a business owner. I'm a wife. So kind of just balancing all of that.
Nice, dope. In regards to your photography, where do you normally draw your inspiration from and your creativity? Because I'm not just hyping her up. Like, Brittany like puts a lot of energy and effort into your work, and like it's definitely there. Anybody that's watching your stuff could tell like you take this very seriously. Where do you draw that creativity from?
I would say my biggest inspiration definitely comes from nature. Like, I just love, it's the way I recharge, going out in nature and just kind of getting a break from, disconnecting from like the world in a sense, or the social media world, the technological world, and really connecting with the earth. It recharges me. It gives me like ideas. It helps me think out of the box. Because when I spend too much time on social media, I realize it's great for inspiration, especially Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I go there for inspiration all the time. However, I like to start with like my own concepts and then maybe bring it to look on Pinterest or Instagram for inspiration, or maybe other creators, and then make it my own. But I think it's important to kind of like make sure you're deriving your ideas and stuff from your own source and not just following what's trendy, even though that is a good technique to help grow your business. We'll get to that more later.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to kind of just find some sort of source that is not directly from social media or what other people are doing and saying, and because that's how you differentiate yourself. That's how you kind of also establish, not even like in your business, but just in life. Like, you want to be able to stand for something unique. Like, who are you? What makes you different from the person next to you, you know? So.
Right. And then photography, was this like a first love for you?
Honestly, yeah.
It was
like ever since I was a kid, man. Like, literally there's pictures, even before I ever took my first picture in my family. My mom used to always collect like photographs, disposable camera photographs, in like old popcorn tins. Like, I don't know if you have that like where you're from, but like these big huge tins that were like aluminum and they would have popcorn in it. And it was a thing back in like, I don't know, the 90s, not even 90s, like the 1900s. It's so funny that we can say that now. But so when they would empty it out, all the popcorn, they would use it to store pictures. And we just had like a bunch of them in our closet. So when I was bored, when I was younger, you know, we didn't have computers and things like that. I would just spend my free time looking through them and like looking at pictures of like old family members, people I never met. And it was just so powerful to me how like I could be like, hey, Ma, who's this? Or hey, Auntie, who's this? Like, and they would tell me this whole story. And I just felt like it was such a, from the get, like, it just, I don't know, I just felt this insane passion about it. Like, it's so crazy, the concept of a photograph. Like, you can just capture a moment right there and it just tells a huge story. And it's just such a beautiful thing to me. So my love definitely grew from when I was a kid. And I always wanted to keep it more as a hobby. And because I feared like losing the love for it, turning it into a business, which it's still right now is more of just a hobby than my business. I kind of tried to, right now I'm navigating that, but yeah. And then I grew up, and then I got my first like point and shoot camera. It was like a first like when digital cameras came out, and then I graduated to a DSLR, and I didn't know how to use it, so I kind of gave up on it for a little while, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to use this, and then the possibilities just endless ever since, and I'm just constantly trying to get better at it. I love it so much.
I think that popcorn thin can thing, that's probably a New York thing. Cause,
really?
Yeah, we didn't do that where I was from. You know what I mean? Probably the shoebox, but popcorn thin
Yeah,
can.
well, we did shoe boxes too, but the aluminum cans, they're more sturdy.
I don't popcorn cover. Anyway, I think that's a cool story though, and definitely. So your mom definitely inspired you to actually start doing that.
My mom and like one of my aunts that pretty much was kind of like my second mom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So would you say this was self-taught or did you go to school for this?
Photography was self-taught.
Photography was self-taught. What did you go to school for then?
So I went to college. I have my bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising and marketing, and
Lit. I didn't know
and
that.
graphic design is my minor. Originally, though, I was dual majoring in graphic design and the fashion merchandising and marketing, but I was faced with a ultimatum. Ultimately, I had to choose because the program that I was in, it was like a 3+1. So if you kind of go on the track that they give you, you should finish your bachelor's in 4 years. Like if you don't take extra classes and finish early, or if you don't take your time and then finish late. So it was like 3 years I would do at the school that I went to for the most of those years, which was upstate New York, and I'm from New York City area. And let me take these off, there making a lot of noise.
No worries.
And then my fourth year would be 1 year spent at FIT, which anyone in the fashion industry knows that's like probably like one of the biggest fashion schools in the world. So it was like I really wanted to go there because if you have FIT on your resume, it's kind of like an automatic foot in the door for applying for jobs and stuff. Like it's such a well-respected, well-renowned university. So at the time, though, when I was a junior and I had to make that decision, I had grown such a love for graphic design and I really wanted to pursue that. But I was like, this is hard because graphic design is something you don't really need to go to school for. You don't really need to have a degree for. You can easily go online and learn it yourself. So I was like, if I do want to get a 9-to-5 type job, I'm going to need some sort of accolades that are going to help me get into the door. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to FIT. In hindsight, I mean, I don't regret it, but it was definitely not like a great experience.
So wait, I just I don't want to cut you off, but there's a lot going on right now, right? So graphic design, not social media, but marketing. You went to school initially for those two.
Yeah.
And then FIT is a fashion industry school?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't understand what falls under fashion. Like fashion is such a broad thing. When you think of fashion, you just usually think clothes.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
actually, like,
at least me, I do.
Yeah,
right?
I did too, and sometimes I even still do. And I think it's kind of the way that we just explain it on an everyday basis. But fashion actually envelopes like a lot of other things, like beauty, even the auto industry technically falls under fashion. It's anything that is like a fashion, which is a trend, something that changes. So under fashion, they have like a bunch of different
categories,
departments and stuff in the school, which they also have like marketing and stuff, which is kind of what I was under. Which is the business side of fashion. So yeah, everything I was learning in class was a little more targeted towards clothing industry in those classes, but yeah.
And so you said that looking back now, it's probably probably not a mistake that you regret, but you probably would have done it a little bit different. And why is that?
I don't really believe in regrets because I really feel like every decision I made absolutely landed me to where I am today, and I'm supposed to be right here.
That's beautiful.
But just now, like my business is not fashion based. It's not like my life isn't fashion based at all. So I just wish that because things would have been different. I would have been able to pursue this sorority I was going to go into, and that was like much bigger than just like college life fun parties. It's like a huge networking advantage and like a good like sisterhood that you build. I would have been able to take more of the graphic design classes that I was going to take my last year that I didn't get to because I had to switch schools, which would have helped me it would have helped me learn a lot more skills way faster than learning on my own. So in a sense, I always think like, dang, what if, because now I'm left to like Google things or learn on YouTube or go on Skillshare, all these different ways of learning on your own, and it's hard.
It does take discipline and definitely determination, but I'd say, like you said though, like you don't look at those things as regrets.
Yeah, not at all.
I just think it builds your character too. You know what I mean? Because you're obviously successful now, so everything that you went through with not going to the school or going to the school, whatever the case may be, it probably just made you a little bit more successful than the other person because they probably did go to the school and, you know what I mean, probably not as driven as you are. And you post content all the time. Like, your consistency is crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
You.
Like, I look at
I feel like it's not.
God damn, it is. Because I look at Brittany's story and then, you know, like the bars at the top.
Yes.
It's like all out. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I swear, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
But her stuff is still phenomenal. Still phenomenal. FIT, marketing. That's cool, man. So you did those schools in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's New York like? I've only been, but like as a young kid, but like I don't know. There's so much hype around New York, though. You know what I mean? Especially like the people. It's, you know,
I could go on for days.
You could go on for days.
Let me try and keep it targeted.
Vanessa
right here.
is from New York too.
Yeah, I know. I watched the episode.
I don't know. I vibe with people from New York though, because you guys got that energy.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You're Caribbean, so like, there's a huge Caribbean like community.
I know
there.
they got like a huge Jamaican like spot out there and stuff like that.
So actually, like growing up, like I grew up around a lot of Caribbeans. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm half Puerto Rican, but majority of my family's Puerto Rican. I grew up around a lot of Jamaicans, so like that's like the culture I grew up seeing, and like but New York is a melting pot. Like that's the best way to explain it. We grow up like in such a diverse culture, from our schools to our neighborhoods to everything, and it's definitely like a dog eat dog world. So it absolutely made me who I am. Built me up to be like, you know, a go-getter and like all that hustle, but at the same time I had to leave because of the same reason. Like it was kind of getting the best of me. You know?
That's actually a great segue to my next question. For you guys watching, y'all know we in Okinawa, Japan. Brittany, from my understanding, you have no military affiliation, man. How did you end up out here? Okinawa, Japan is known for the military bases that's out here. So technically, you only really come out here, or if you're American and you happen to come out here, it's necessarily because you have some type of affiliation to the military. So how did you end up out here, man?
It's a funny story. So actually, now I have a military affiliation. My husband is in the Army, but
shouts out to him. Shouts out to him.
Originally, I just was at this like kind of turning point, breaking point in my life where I needed a change. And I was working a 9-to-5, and what anyone who was in my field back in college, if you studied fashion, like I was living the dream. I was working on Fifth Ave, which is like the highest fashion area in the world, pretty much. I was doing product development, and I loved my job, but I just always knew since I was a kid that I was not meant to work for someone else. And it was getting to the point where it was really like affecting my mental health. I was out of a toxic relationship, just got out of a toxic relationship. Things weren't so good with my family back home. And then New York is expensive. So I was struggling, man. I was working 40 plus hours a week, barely making ends meet. And I was just like, I don't want to end up like everyone around me who just gets stuck in this like, what's that saying? Hamster wheel, like constant like cycle and like just miserable. I didn't want that. So I knew I needed to make a huge change. So I have a distant relative here who used to be a Marine. Like he was in the Marine Corps like maybe 30 years ago. I don't know exactly the number, but I would say probably before I was born. And he was stationed out here. He married an Okinawan, and so he has a whole family. He has 3 kids. One of my cousins is close to my age. So we always kept in contact through Facebook, and they extended the offer like, hey, you know, whenever you want to come visit, we're glad to host you. And if you like it, like, we'll help you get on your feet, help you get a job. And I was like, you know what? When I was going through this time and I'm like, all right, something needs to change. Like something's got to give. I need a new start. I was considering other cities in the States, but then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go there and end up doing the same thing I'm doing now. I really wanted to kind of take the opportunity of not being tied down in any type of relationship, not having any kids yet, and just focus on my goals. So I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to them, see if they're willing to, you know, kind of live up to that offer that they extended to me. And so I did. And then I planned for 6 months, and then I just did everything I needed to hop on that plane.
The rest is history.
It was so scary hopping on that one-way plane to Japan.
I bet.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
But so far, it's probably been one of your best decisions.
Absolutely, the best decision I ever made in my life.
That's dope, man. Yeah, Okinawa is dope as shit, man. That's actually it's a nice story. I like that.
Thank you.
I totally agree with the mentality of the 9 to 5. And then I totally agree with toxicity, man. That's something that's gonna come up on the next podcast because. Oh man, I think everybody's dealing with some trauma, and I think that we need to actually speak about it a little bit more.
It needs to be.
Shouts out to that nigga Taylor, man. He said you gotta separate to elevate. You know what I mean? So it's cool that you was aware to actually recognize, like, hey, this isn't good for me. This isn't good for my spirit, my health, and I need to find a way out of here.
Absolutely, awareness is like key. It's the first step.
Exactly right, and I think that's brave of you to actually
I'm so brave. I don't even know how I did it.
I think it's brave to actually live in New York and to begin with, man, because that cost of living, oh man, that shit just hurts my heart.
Mean, it's so crazy too because I'm born and raised there, so it's like I'm trying to unlearn all of that because even talking to my husband, I'm like talking about buying a house in the future, and it's just our mentality is like we think that everything's expensive because it is in New York, like and it in a way it helps you because you deal with the really tough stuff, so when you're dealt with things that aren't as tough you handle it better, but
it builds character,
but it definitely builds up a big tough shell that sometimes you gotta just break down.
It definitely builds character. And then so once you got here to Oki, what were you kind of doing? You were just feeling out yourself? You were just trying to find yourself again?
So I really came here and I wanted to really, that's the best way to explain it. If you ever seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love, I always say that's kind of like the journey I was on if I had to like write a book about it or something. At first, I was excited with the culture. I was indulgent in the culture because I have Japanese family. I was like learning the language. I kind of wish I would have stuck with that. I was trying all the foods. I was just exploring like a tourist. The excitement was definitely driving me. I was networking like crazy. That's when I like originally met you, working in nightlife scene and stuff. So I was originally had my goal to establish my brand and like really grow my business, but then I really think God had other plans for me because it was hard for me to kind of narrow down and get that tunnel vision that I needed that I have now, which was necessary for where I'm at. I needed to kind of feel things out and figure out what was for me, what's not for me, what do I like, what do I not like. So I was doing a lot of freelancing and just networking, and then I got a job on base to get SOFA status, and then eventually I quit that, and then fast forward a little bit, married my husband, and then that's when I went more of the entrepreneurial route. Full force. So
and so okay, now we on to like the shit that I like to talk about, entrepreneurship, man. What does it take to be successful as you are on social media platforms such as YouTube and Instagram? Because everybody don't got the sauce, but Brittany got the sauce for sure.
Thank you. Man, that's such a loaded question. It's such a loaded question. Like,
briefly summarize it then, if you can, as best as you can. I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut your time down, but
Nah, absolutely not. So my advice ultimately for anyone who's interested in that is to educate yourself constantly because it's such a loaded topic. There is no quick 5 tips that I could give you that are going to lead to your success because it looks different for everybody. Like success, that's you have to lay the foundation first. So like what is success to you? What are your beliefs? What are you trying to do in this world? What impact do you want to make? And then from there you can kind of be like, all right, so what channels can I use to do that? And then specifically talking about social media, like literally what platforms are going to help me. Like if you're a visual person, like maybe YouTube, because you can, I don't know, write on a whiteboard, or you can talk to the camera, or you can, show someone like a screen recording of how you're designing something. Or if you're more of a person who likes to talk and like that's the way you convey things, a podcast might be best for you. But finding your platform and then learning it like constantly. It's just like working out. Like, I just gave birth 7 months ago almost. I haven't been in the gym in like 2 years. So if I go to the gym right now, I'm not going to be able to lift nothing, probably no type of weights. So
you'll be back to square one.
Right? So but with repetition, constant practice, in a month I'll probably be able to lift I don't know, 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Like do 3 reps of 25 pounds. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm obviously not a gym rat, but
no, but we got your analogy.
It's the same concept. So practice, like you have to stay consistent. You have to start, because your first work is always going to be your worst work, but you need to do it, because in order to get that to that level that you're like dreaming of, that you envision yourself being at, you got to start somewhere. No one starts off and they're amazing. So you have to stay consistent. You have to put in the work. Like you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. And like investing your time and money too, like that's been a key to me, which kind of like took me to the next level, is really financially investing in my business and stuff like that. But yeah, staying consistent and really being true to your values.
Yeah, I mean,
it's key.
Everything that was just said was great, and I love the analogy as how you brought it into exercise and working out. Because like you said, you know, you've been off for 2 years. If you go back to the gym right now, you're not gonna be where you were 2 years ago.
Yeah, not
you know
at
what
all.
I mean? You're gonna start back from square one, and that you could really apply that to anything you do in life. You know what I mean? Putting in the work and actually taking your time and knocking it out. Man, that's beautiful. So you don't got no secrets? Give us some secrets, Britt. We want some secrets.
As far as like Instagram goes,
as far as how do you when I look at your social media and I look at what you're doing, my questions are basically to myself is, where does she find the motivation to, you know what I mean, be consistent, and where does she find the inspiration to be putting out the content that you, so mostly like where's your motivation coming from? Is it because you're like an entrepreneur now and you're like, hey, in order for me to get a paycheck, I need to...
So no, I used to think that way.
Ooh,
I don't know if you ever watched like Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah, Gary V.
Like motivational speakers. I used to be heavy on that stuff in college, and like I took in too much of that. So like I burnt myself out. Like I'm very notorious for doing that. But right now I would say the key is really making things as easy and as enjoyable as you can, because it's such a fine line between doing it like for fun, not for fun, but like doing it and it being enjoyable, and it burning you out, because it is a lot to do. To constantly be putting out content is not an easy task. So you really gotta work on like the mindset part of it, and put systems in place to help you. So for example, like I use a feed planning app for Instagram that I will batch my content. So like I'll go do a few photo shoots. Ideally I would plan like one day a month or one day every few months and do a bunch of different shoots in that one day, that whole day just devoted to shoots. And now I have content backed up for the next few months. And I just got to write the captions.
This is the sauce.
But even captions. So like my mind just never stops racing. Like I have 1,000 tabs open all the time. So what I do is literally I'll be in the shower. I do my deepest thinking in the shower. And like a thought will come to my mind, and especially with mom brain, I forget things so easily. So I'm like, oh nah, I gotta write that down. And if I can't touch it, I'll just talk to Siri, like, hey Siri, open up a new note. And then I'll just talk and be like, and I'll write down a whole caption or a whole blog post or a whole YouTube video idea, or even just a random thought that I could create content out of. Or maybe it's just a personal thing that I want to talk about in my personal relationships and personal life that will inspire content later on. So that's like the key for me, just like writing things down and like organizing it. Organization is key.
That's the sauce, man. And I just had a huge smile because as she was talking, I realized she reminds me of Vanessa so much. Like that New York shit really is deep. Like for real, that shit is deep. Because Vanessa talk with her hands the same way.
That's so funny.
And she goes on just like that too, man. So shouts out to Vanessa, man. I love you, man. Because damn, New York people dope as fuck.
Thank you.
Yeah, for real. That kind of lost my train of thought on that one, but that's the sauce for real. Because I'm actually now starting to find myself, I need to be more disciplined in sense of organization, and I'm not really good at that at all. My wife writes down. She has calendars backed up from like 2015, like hand calendars, like every day she could go back to 2016 and she knew what she did so on January like 16 or 17 like today. You know what I mean? And I always thought like, damn, that's phenomenal. Like I couldn't tell you what I did last week. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm really trying to hone that skill and get better at it. Right now, if I pull up my phone, I got my calendar and I got like some shit jotted down, but I could definitely be a lot better at that. And I think if you're gonna be taking it as serious as you are, I think that's very essential.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's so essential. You have to, otherwise you're just gonna be like, what's that saying, like
lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
You be lost in the
for
sauce,
real, because it's hard. It's a lot to manage, so
yeah, I bet.
You want to make your life as easy as you can, but still put out that quality, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so you're, can you talk a little bit about your YouTube channel too?
Sure.
What exactly is your YouTube channel? Where do you get your inspiration from? And what are you talking about? What do you hope to accomplish with it?
So I never really watched YouTube until recently. Believe it or not.
What?
Yeah, like I would go on it real quick if I needed to find out how to do something, like how to change a tire or something.
I forgot you was shitting on YouTube earlier, right? But YouTube creates the best learners, man. I learned everything from YouTube.
For real. I mean, like you can learn anything on YouTube.
Exactly.
It's definitely a gateway into learning anything. So when I came to Japan, like I said earlier, my goal was to start my YouTube channel, and I did. So because I knew I was moving here, I'm like, at the time I was really into traveling, and like I had all these travel plans and travel ideas, and I'm like looking at all these travel vlogs, and I got really inspired by that. So originally I had the concept of just creating really cinematic vlogs, like travel vlogs that almost look like portions of like adult movie that you would see. And then I realized that I need a team for that. And that's really hard, really hard to do if you don't have like the best camera equipment. I mean, you need to have GoPros, you need to have rigs, you need to have like so much stuff in order to really create that good content that people are going to want to watch. So I kind of realized that that was not feasible, and I had to take a little break from it. And then I came back with my YouTube, I think when I was pregnant. Originally it was going to be a lot of like mindset stuff, like because I looked at it like this, like what are people reaching out to me for? Because we all have goals of how we want to be seen and like the brands we want to build, but you also have to take into account your brand image. So brand identity is like, and even self-identity is who like you identify as, who you want to be, but image is how the public sees you. So you have to take that into account if you want to have success. So I was like, okay, what are people coming to me for? So I would constantly get questions about, oh my God, how are you so brave? How did you get out of that relationship? How did you get over this relationship? How did you move to Japan? How did you do all these like life mindset, like inner working type things? So I started making videos on that were like motivational and stuff. And then I took a little break from that. And I think I'm just trying to incorporate that more naturally into other things like my design and motherhood videos. Then I became pregnant and I started sharing a lot about that, and people love that content. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me try and bring value to expectant moms who are looking for the same answers that I was looking for. So I do a lot of motherhood content. I do branding, which I haven't actually done any videos for yet because those take a lot of like time, and I just don't have that right now. But it's something I plan in the near future.
And then when she's talking about branding, she's talking about how to help you create your brand.
Yeah. Like building your own business, your own brand, whether that be if you want to be like a social media influencer, which we'll get to more in affiliate marketing, or if you're trying to build like a legit service-based or product-based business. But not that that's not legit, but I meant like just product-based or service-based business. And so I do, and then lifestyle. So like that kind of incorporates just how I live my life, which my business name is The Lifestylist Creative. So how I live my life right now, I'm an army wife. I live in Japan, so naturally that type of content is going to be on my, platforms, and just like kind of stuff like this, just dropping my gems that I can drop or just random thoughts, because I realize I'm just trying to put out what helps me, when I do watch YouTube now, fast forward, I love YouTube now. That's all I watch. I don't even watch Netflix no more. I just rather watch like real people and learn that way, and even for enjoyment too. So I think about what I like to enjoy, what do I enjoy watching, what do I learn from, and I just try to put that back out. Something
that caught my attention that Taylor, pontificated on, that nigga really good with words, was the fact that you said that you initially came out here to start, well, you were inspired by, you know, trying to do travel vlogs and stuff like that, but you initially came out here to hone down on your skills and create your brand and put yourself out there to the universe, right? You were single, you weren't thinking about kids or anything
Not at all.
and even though you was doing that, you still didn't you still wasn't where you wanted to be at initially, but then you got married, you got a husband now you're a parent, you're a mom of a beautiful baby girl. Her name is it Sage or Sajay?
Sage. So
it's Sage.
We thought about saying it as Sajay, but we decided not to.
Okay, as Sage. And you've actually found yourself to be able to produce the type of content that you want now, while being tied down with the stuff you initially didn't want to be tied down to.
That's funny. Yeah, full circle moment.
Yeah, right.
It just like lights another fire in you.
Oh, being a parent.
Yeah.
So is it more of like a drive to be able to provide?
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
But like one of my biggest mottos for my whole business and my life is really impact over income. So so like I will never deny that money is important in this world. Like we need it to survive, we need it to thrive, and that's another thing. Like I don't want to just survive. That's why I left New York. Like everyone I know is just barely surviving, and so I really, really want to thrive. I want to have land.
To my heart, man. Speaking to my heart.
I want to have land. I want to buy my mom a house. She's never lived in or owned a house in her life. I want to just create like that life that like growing up in the struggle, like we never even imagined we could have, you know? So that's absolutely my drive. And then I want to help other people do that in the meantime. So that's kind of why I founded my business being like something that's a service-based business to help people, because it's like twofold, you know?
Oh, she's speaking to my heart right now. Impact. First one was the first gem. If you guys fucking missing it, was impact over income, right? And then the second gem that really speaks to me is thrive versus survive. Yeah. And the Virgin Islands is the same way.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I've been there, visited, and yeah, man, you see it.
That's lit. Yeah. Yeah, man. I really was fortunate enough to actually get outside of that and see how big the world actually was versus that. And I just feel there's too much of us just trying to get by and just trying to make rent and just trying to survive. And I totally disagree. That's no way to live life.
Not at all.
And I always ask myself, why don't more people move? Like, why don't you just...
Right? I feel like it should be like required of everyone to at least for 1 year leave their like hometown country if you can, because it just gives you such a different perspective on life. And like, and also in a sense, I want to like piggyback off what you just said. Like, you don't have to thrive. I mean, thrive. You don't have to, is that the word? Strive. Okay, we got all these I've words. You don't have to strive for like, you know, to make a six-figure income and have the fanciest car and the fanciest house. You don't have to strive to be a CEO or entrepreneur. Like if you're okay, if like what success is to you is living a modest life in a small home with your family and just living like below your means, then that's absolutely like okay. And like, it's just, the key is like not staying somewhere if you're not happy with it. And for me, you know, this is what it meant. So
yeah, man, I wish more people would move, because I wish more people would bounce. I think like you said, the first level is awareness. You have to be aware of your life. You have to be aware of your mental health in regards to, is this really what I want for me?
Absolutely.
And I created a post the other day that kind of spoke to me in regards to like, my deathbed is right around the corner. All of our deathbeds are right around the corner. You know, I ain't trying to be depressing or anything or sad shit.
Real life stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to be on my deathbed with like any regrets.
Yeah, not at all.
I really don't. So it's like, even if I fail, because I totally feel that starting a business back home, but you know what I mean, I learned from it.
Absolutely.
I definitely learned from it. But man, you're speaking to me. If you somewhere and you never thought about actually like look at yourself and be like, is this the environment that I really want to spend the rest of my life? If you said no, you need to fucking leave.
And don't make excuses. That's the main thing I tell people, because like they hit me up and they want like a step-by-step guide, and I'm like, listen, I made this move on an act of faith. I came here with like $1,200 in my bank account, which I do not recommend to anyone.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely not smart of me, but like, I just had this like conviction in my heart that I knew like God would take care of me. I knew that I was making this move and it was the right thing to do. And that's why you just gotta spend more time with yourself and like have that awareness, check yourself daily, and like just stop letting those limiting beliefs stop you, because then you're just, where are you really gonna get, you know?
Yeah. And you said you shouldn't leave with $1,200 in your account, and I agree to that, right? You probably should save up a little bit more, but let's be a little bit realistic here. The best outcomes comes from those type of stories.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Where it's like, you know what I mean, a whole family move, and all he had was $12 in his pocket. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're like, you had $12.
It's the most moving stories, yeah.
Right, bro? You could barely buy a full bag of Lay's chips and a drink, a soda with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit, in the Virgin Islands, you can't even buy. Well, you could buy cereal, but you can only get one. Cereal is $8.99.
I know.
A fucking
Kita told
box.
me that's crazy. Oh,
Who
man.
the fuck paying a box? I mean, paying $8.99 for a box of cereal, bro.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's like, bro,
we eating air for breakfast today.
Exactly. That's crazy, man. But I kind of want to go back to your business stuff. Like, even those are beautiful topics, man. I could talk about that all day. And I'm pretty sure that whoever's watching is gonna appreciate that too. I really want to talk about becoming a new parent now. Yeah. And you finding the drive to actually start creating content and stuff like that. In regards to your mental health, how is that keeping up? How is being a new parent and still keeping up with what you're posting and like being, you know what I mean, just being hip to like everything that's going on? How does that affect you mentally?
Whew. It's a very gray area where you got to be very, very careful and tread lightly around, because you got to know when you're doing too much or when you're not doing enough, you know? So I was actually diagnosed with postpartum depression, which I think 1 in 3 women are. I don't know the statistics, but and I've always had like mental health battles my whole life. I've dealt with depression, anxiety. But postpartum is different because it's like you just become a new person. Like your hormones are different, your body's different. So like for me in the beginning, like the first few weeks to first few months, I was diving into work because it was the only thing that was keeping me like making me feel anything that was like good, you know? And besides my daughter, 'cause some people have postpartum depression really hard and like they feel a disconnect from their kids, and my heart goes out to them. Yeah. And I'm so blessed and grateful that I didn't have to deal with that. But I think
I just wanted to ask quick, because I have a general idea of what postpartum depression is, but if you could just
elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, if you could elaborate a little bit.
It's pretty much depression, but it's due to the chemical imbalance like in your brain and your hormones after giving birth, because you know you spend 10 months of your life creating life inside your womb, and it changes everything inside you. I mean, your organs are pushed up everywhere, like your hormones are different because you need to be giving the baby certain things.
So a really aggressive postpartum depression, would that give you resentment towards your kids?
Some people have that, yeah. That's definitely a symptom. Or they feel like a complete disconnect. Like I said, I'm so grateful that I didn't have that. Like I always felt really connected to her, but there were times when I definitely felt like I was losing my mind. And it was really, really hard. And my husband's in the army and his job is very demanding, so I was alone. I mean, I'm in Japan, and then add coronavirus on top of that. I can't even hang out with my friends. It was really, really tough. I was pretty much like single momming it in a foreign country. So yeah, it was definitely tough, but I think that helped me. I wouldn't recommend to other moms to dive into work the way I did so soon after giving birth, because there were times when I absolutely burnt myself out. I mean, for a few months I was staying up till 5 a.m. because the baby was sleeping. Like at first she would go to sleep at like, for the first few months, she would go to sleep at like 12 a.m. So the only time I got was after that. And then like, I needed that time alone to be quiet or have the silence or like just dive into something that I enjoy. But now fast forward, now I'm 7 months postpartum and I'm feeling way, way better. And I'm in a healthy state where like, I have like a good healthy drive, and I'm like, all right, cool. Now I just see much clearer now, and I'm able to put things into place to help me grow in my business. And ultimately will benefit my family, you know?
Yeah. That's beautiful. Can you elaborate in regards to when you became aware of your situation? What were you doing to help
My
yourself?
mental health.
Yeah.
Well, I sought therapy, which in my case, I feel like it didn't really help me that much, to be honest, because I feel like a lot of the stuff I was dealing with was spiritual. Like I said, though, there is a physical aspect, but on that end, you really just got to take care of your body. Like like sleep is kind of non-existent in the first few months, but you have to take any opportunity that you can. Unfortunately, we don't have like our family to be like, hey, we're just gonna leave the baby with you for a few hours, or mom, can you come over and help me out or whatever. So It was all on me and my husband. So we would kind of take shifts where if he was home, like when he was on paternity leave or during the weekend, we would be like, all right, you got these 4 hours, like you completely will take care of her, and then I'll nap. But it was also hard because I was exclusively breastfeeding, which is a whole nother thing. So really just prioritizing your physical health. And for me, it was a lot of spiritual stuff, like praying and kind of reminding myself of things that I may not have believed in the moment, that like, counteracting the negative thoughts I was having. Like, I am worthy, I am meant for greatness, I'm like all those affirmations, and reminding myself of that, and keeping the support, being open with the people around me, like letting them know how I'm feeling so that they can be on the same page and like give me the support that I need. That was key.
That's great. That's absolutely beautiful. I'm glad that you were able to take care of yourself, before you got any worse or anything like that.
Thank you.
Man, that's nice. A lot of gems, man. A lot of gems. For all the parents out there, new parents, shit, I could only imagine like what being a single mom is. That shit, because I help out, Keto where I can, but like I could, like, what if I wasn't there? You know what I mean? Like it'd be rough.
My mom was a single mom. She raised me and my brother on her own, and I'm like, the respect that I have for her now is crazy.
Yeah, shouts out to all the single moms, man.
For real, y'all are superheroes.
Shouts out to all the single moms, man. Man, that's just a warm topic, right? Doing shifts, I think you seem to have a very analytical approach to
everything.
Yeah. Which is nice though, because it gives you a one up on what's it, people? It's probably not the right word, but it gives you a one up. You know what I mean? You're thinking very logically, and you know what I mean, you seem to have a really great relationship with your husband in regards to that communication of like, hey man, I'm not feeling too well mentally. Would you mind taking Sage for a bit, and then so I could catch myself, and then he being a great dad, and like sure, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
What are current challenges that you're facing right now in your life professionally?
Not having enough time.
Man.
So like I really want to outsource a lot of work, but then not having the funds to do that right now. And then I feel like I'm getting better at saying no. And like the power of saying no is really vital. It's so vital to success, man.
Fuck yes,
it's
man.
so
Fuck
powerful. Yes. But it's gotten easier for me to say no to other people. So now I'm learning how to say no to myself, because being a creative, like I want to take on so much, because so many different things bring me, like, I'm passionate about. So like photography, now I'm getting into YouTube and editing videos and videography essentially, and then I have my branding stuff, and then I'm also doing like the admin business side, like emails, reaching out to brands, handling all the back end not really fun stuff of business, and it's so many different hats to wear that I'm really struggling balancing them all, because I'm not ready to like give up any one of them. So I
forgot where I read it, but I forgot where the fuck I read it, but basically you have to say no to the good things to say yes to the great things in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I forgot where I read. I wish I could quote it right now, but I can't. Sorry. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about your branding business, and how you could help out people create their brand and stuff? Because I'm really interested in that. Because as you can see, I got a podcast.
Yeah. So, man, I'm so passionate about this stuff. I love it. It's so much fun, because I'm a very, very visual person. So like, everything from, I mean, you can tell from my background, like I went to school for fashion. I always had a love for fashion and like creating my own style, and kind of like being creative with it. And then photography is a visual thing. So like colors, like all these things is things that you incorporate into creating a brand.
Yeah.
So, however, there are a lot of branders, that's not even a word, a lot of brand designers out there who mainly just focus on that. Like, all right, here's a nice logo, you're good to go. And I get so many clients who hit me up just for a logo. And so what I do in my business, like my unique standpoint, I guess you could say, is that I educate my clients on the mindset stuff. Like we lay a solid foundation, and that's the majority chunk of what we do for our whole process before we even get into the visual. Important, they're fun, like you get to look at them, like this is the literally the public image that the public is going to see. But your brand is so much more than that. It really relies heavily on, like, going back to what I said before, your values. What do you believe in? What do you stand for? What do you not believe in? Because that's just as important too. And I kind of teach my clients like how to really niche down and hone in on that stuff. And we work through any limiting beliefs that they may have. Like it's really unique to each person. So like kind of learning what their challenges are and helping them work through that. And then once we have that all solidified, then we move on to the visual stuff and the design. And then we create the whole brand identity, which essentially, just to break it down, is like a logo, a primary logo, which is like the main logo that is going to be used everywhere. And then like a secondary logo, little icons, business card design, prints and patterns that you could use on literally whatever, if you wanted to make merchandise, or if you were going to do create social media graphics, like to put quotes on or whatever it is. Excuse me.
You're excused.
What else? Fonts, like fonts that are unique to your brand, and like your brand voice. So I even get down to creating like a thesaurus for my clients, a brand thesaurus, and like what words are they going to use every time they're creating content, whether it be on YouTube or Instagram, to really help them reach their target audience, you know? Because it's really, like I said, my motto is all about impact over income. So everything I do is driven by that. And I work with clients who value that as well. So I'm trying to help them create that impact as well, and kind of really narrow down on the like logistics of all that.
Yeah, that's, man, I guess you get a type of education from school, because you don't learn on YouTube.
Well, no, you can. I definitely learned a lot of it in school. However, now I spend my days like just on like a YouTube playlist, and I'm just learning and I'm taking notes, and there's absolutely people that you can learn from. I will, you know, if you follow me on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, I'll definitely be like mentioning them when I create my content. Are like great leaders in different industries. Like you can follow people who teach you about podcasts and stuff, and that's the beauty of YouTube, the world we live in now, man. You could learn anything. When you really want to learn the logistics, though, you're definitely going to have to invest money into it, and like hiring coaches or going to school, whatever route you choose, you know.
And I think that's really important to actually state too, because
absolutely,
a lot of people, they complain about working a 9 to 5, but then they don't know how to invest in themselves to get themselves out of a 9 to 5. And you have to invest in yourself in order to get out, in order to start at least. Dang, you touched so many topics. I'm trying to see which one I could pick up off from.
I told him I talk a lot and always go off on tangents.
No, I'm still over here geeked at these hand movements, man. Just like, I'm super.
I don't even notice that I be doing that. See, look at me right now.
Yeah, I'm still geeked about that. But what would you say the most important thing is for anybody that's trying to start a brand? Like you can't start a brand without this.
Okay. Like I said before, and I know like people come to me and they think I'm gonna say, you know, like make a logo or something, but that comes way after. You really, really got to sit down and hone in on what is it that you're gonna stand for. If it's a personal brand, like I have, there's a very gray area between your personal beliefs and stuff and what you're actually going to incorporate into your business and your brand. So that's something that you're gonna have to spend extra time on figuring out. And literally mapping it out on paper, like this is my goal. I want to create this, or I want to impact people this way, and mapping it all out. That's like the vital first step.
All right. So I'm a customer. This is just a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
But it could be real in the future. You know what I mean? Because I fuck with you. And as you can see,
Likewise.
I'm trying to create a brand, try to build a brand. Our team, is trying to create a brand, build a brand. And I'd be a customer. I'd be like, so Brittany, this is the Not For None Network. It's myself, a homie of mine named Taylor, Hines, and Brown. And basically, we went with Not For None because basically we want to make sure that we're doing this Not For None. You know what I mean? We want to be impactful.
That's so funny. I thought of it like in New York, we say like, yo, not for none, but like, and then we say something.
Oh, you guys do?
Yeah, like, it's so funny. That's how I thought of it, but I like that.
Yeah, we just want to be impactful, and you know what I mean? We just, basically it's in the saying, you know what I mean? Yeah. We just want to make sure that whatever we're doing, it's not for none, you know what I mean?
love that, yeah.
At least somebody's being touched by or impacted by whatever we put out to the universe in a positive way, hopefully. Yep. You know what I mean? So what advice would you give me, seeing what we've already created and stuff like that, once I become a paying customer? Because it could definitely happen.
So I would say definitely you want to focus on your messaging. And like that comes with like posting on Instagram. So like you don't want to post just to post, you know? So like being intentional, and like I said, like the little tips I gave before, like planning out your feed and creating content, like pretty much like batch creating. So creating a bunch of content prior to posting it so that you're not sitting down every day trying to think of a great caption and post to put out there, so that you already have it to go. Especially people like us who, like, I'm sure your mind is like racing all day. Yeah. You have so many thoughts, and it's hard to kind of conjure up those ideas right then and there. So my advice would be sit down with a pen and paper. Like I said, maybe, well, if you were my client, I would work with you through this. We would get to know like what drives you, like what is your why, like what gets you out of bed every day, like what would you die for, like what do you stand for, and really like, because that's what's gonna keep you going when no one's listening, when you're not getting any views.
Like right now.
No, for real, it's real stuff. Even me, like I get like a decent amount, but like I see other people, and you know that's another thing. Trying not to compare yourself, but you gotta push past that time where you're not seeing that return right away, because we live in this generation of like instant gratification, and it's just not the way that like life works. Like it doesn't work that way. So you really gotta hone down on all that stuff, and then once you figure that out and get all your ideas down on paper, it's a lot easier to see like, all right, cool, like now I know what direction I'm gonna go in whenever I make Instagram posts or YouTube videos or podcasts in your case. What kind of people I'm gonna work with, collaborations, things like that, and then organizing it. And that's not something I really work on my clients with yet. I would like to in the future do more education stuff, like teaching people. But back to the thing before I go off on tangent. And then.
No, you're good. Keep going on tangents, man, because you're dropping gems for real.
Thank you. Okay, well.
Yeah, and I'm sure people watching are gonna appreciate it.
So once you like narrow down your why and you get that down, and then we would literally like write it out, like create like what is your mission statement for your business? Your vision statement. What are the business's core values? Like the three main core values. What do you really want to be known for? When people see Not For None, what do you want them to think of? Like what kind of feeling do you want them to get? You know? All these things I work through with my clients because it matters. You know, Coca-Cola, you know, probably one of the best branded companies in the world.
Absolutely.
When you look at them, I think of Coca-Cola and I already hear like that.
The snap.
The snap when you open the can, and I just think like refreshing. And I don't even drink Coke. But like, you know, that's good branding. So we work through all that, and then, you know, we talk about like the visual stuff.
Can you go ahead and plug your branding company for us?
Just the name and stuff?
Yeah.
So my company is called The Lifestylist Creative Co. actually right now debating on rebranding, so that might change in the future. It's just not really resonating so much with me. I'm kind of in a transitional phase of my life. But yeah, so my website is currently under construction, but you can still visit it and kind of get a feel for it a little bit. It's thelifestylist.com. I'll send you over like the logo, whatever, you can like insert it. Or
for sure, I'll do that, because y'all need to fuck with Brittany as much as I'm fucking with her right now. For sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then I think we talked a little bit about it before, but you also do affiliate marketing as well. So which one is your bread and butter?
The lifestylist branding.
Okay,
like that's,
so lifestyle and branding is your bread and butter, and then affiliate marketing is a side gig. Impact over income. You just
somewhat. So like, I'm definitely not making a lot of money with that right now. It's more so I'm in the beginning stages of it, I guess you could say.
And it's more like a hobby you enjoy to talk about.
Yeah.
You enjoy
to talk because I love photography, so like why not make money off of it, you know?
Yeah.
So essentially I'm sure this is going to answer your question, like what is affiliate marketing?
Yeah.
Essentially you get paid to promote brands pretty much. Like you're bringing so affiliate marketing literally is getting paid by a company to have other people shop with them.
Yeah.
So if I like Google AdSense, when you watching a YouTube video, I think that's affiliate marketing. It can be like you can work with a company and put like their ad in your video and they'll pay you for that because now it's reaching people. Or I have like me personally, I'll have like a personal referral link to like a baby brand or whatever, and I'll send it to my friend, and if she actually purchases something through that, I get a commission off of that sale. Yeah, you get a small
percentage of commission.
So
yeah. And you just do that as a hobby. It's something you like to do. And then I'm gonna definitely link it down below. It's on her YouTube channel. But right now you're doing mostly mommy products, correct?
Yeah. So I didn't plan to do affiliate marketing. It kind of just happened.
Yeah.
Because when I was pregnant, I'm out here, like I said, not with family, so I wasn't gonna have a baby shower. And this was all before COVID. I always say that like COVID kind of made people, like, not to joke about it, it's not a joke, it's real serious stuff that made me real depressed, but it was hard on everyone. And but like COVID didn't change my life so much because like being in a foreign country, I already wasn't able to go to social gatherings with my family, like my loved ones back home, and you know, celebrate those important life moments, the good and the bad, with them. So I took to Instagram to like share virtually like the products that was coming in because I was bored. I was nesting. I had nothing else to do with my time. And then I was like, you know what? Then brands started reaching out to me, and I'm like, I could actually turn this into a business. So
nice. Yeah. Is there any objective that you currently find yourself failing at right now that basically like you keep trying and you just like, man, I'm not getting it?
There is, but I can't think of it right now. Give me a second. Let me think.
I'll give you that Jeopardy countdown.
Honestly, like Instagram, I feel like.
If you feel like that?
Yes.
I feel like you're a major influencer, man. That's probably hard self to critique on yourself.
Yeah, we are very hard on ourselves, and I'm really trying to work on like not doing that.
I'm always like, yo, she's fucking killing it, man.
Yeah, but I look at myself, I have like 10.5K followers, so in reality, that's a lot of people.
Fuck yeah, that's a lot of people, bro.
But when I look at like my engagement, so Instagram's constantly changing their algorithm. Yeah, it's really annoying. I hate it because like once I start getting into the groove of it, they change it, and I'm like, I don't got the energy to like learn this new tool that they put out. But it's honestly like it's necessary to grow on there. But it's literally like a full-time job. Instagram is like a full-time job. It's not an easy task. And people make it look so easy. And I think that, so people start like not valuing it. So like right now, I have a lot of like what they call imposter syndrome. So it kind of goes back to like being hard on myself, because I always say like, even if I'm impacting one person, like really impacting them, that's all that matters to me. That's what I define as success. But I can put too much of my self-worth in my productivity and my output and like that outcome. So when I don't see people engaging the way I would like with my posts or things like that, like it can really get me down, and I'm like, damn, like I suck, like I'm failing. And because Instagram's hard, man. Like, people are on there with such a short attention span, so you really got to figure out a way to capture them in a second. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's
It's
facts.
hard.
That's facts. Because I told you from the beginning, it's like I see all those bars and people's stuff. I'm just like,
Yeah.
my mind's just like, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's definitely real. And then I just kind of want to help you out a little bit in the sense of imposter syndrome. Joe Rogan said it, man. If you feel like you're an imposter, 9 times out of 10 times you're not. You're actually the one that's killing
I felt
it.
that.
Yeah, you're actually the one that's killing it. And the best people have imposter syndrome. You know, he says sometimes he feels like he's an imposter. You know what I mean? So shouts out to Joe Rogan for those gems, man.
I needed that. That was a good little gem. A big gem, actually.
Just downgraded my gem. You are recently married, right? Within the last 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Right, and then you are recently a new parent, like we talked about so much on the podcast. Do you feel like there's any hindrance in your ability to create content or not?
Absolutely.
You do? Okay, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
1,000%.
Right? Because at least from an objective standpoint, you have to consider the feelings of your significant other. So it does hinder your creativity a bit. You know what I mean? Because I can't just be up here saying all types of crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I have to consider my wife's feelings to those types of stuff. And objectively, that hinders creativity.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that comes with time. Not even, I don't know, because I haven't figured it out yet. But it's communication as far as your relationship and stuff goes. Like, you have to keep that open line of communication so that you know. Because when we get into a creative, I think the worst feeling is like having a good idea and then kind of doing it and then it hurting someone you care about or them not being comfortable with it, or maybe you before you even like actually go and produce it.
Unless it's your significant other, I say fuck them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I agree. But like even before you go and actually like bring it to life and like you just consult them about it and like it was such a great idea that you had and you were really passionate about it, but you was like, let me consult them about it first, and they're not comfortable with it. It can definitely feel a little bit of like a shoot down, you know, like, but that just comes with like love and like marriage. I think you just gotta respect it and like find ways around it. If anything, it kind of makes you be more creative because now you have to think outside the box. So were you talking in that sense or more like time constraints and stuff, or like?
No, I was talking in that sense.
Okay.
Definitely in that sense. Because I came upon an interview by Country Win where he talked about like not being married, and he kind of made some sense in regards to like some of the stuff that he does do with some of his cast members. He probably wouldn't be able to do that if he was married. So that's where that the inspiration for that question came.
Yeah.
And then of course me doing this, you know what I mean, I have to be cognitive of, you know what I mean, how I'm speaking on this and like if I'm talking to the homies and shit like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like even right now I'm like, if my mother-in-law watches this, like, you know, I'm myself with all my family anyway, but it comes down to, actually I was just thinking about this right before I came here, like what you have to think about what you'd be comfortable with the world seeing. Like there's certain conversations that you could have in your personal relationships that maybe you're not comfortable with like a stranger seeing, or I don't know, your great grandmother or something like that. And not just you, but like when you're married, like it's not about you anymore. It's a unit. So you have to take your spouse or significant other's feelings and stuff into play. And it definitely depends on your industry. Like my industry, it's a little bit more on the safe side.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I worked in nightlife or something, like my husband, he sings, so a lot of time he has to go out to the club, and that's just not my scene no more.
Oh, he's a singer.
Yeah.
He's not a rapper, singer?
No, he's a singer and
R&B.
an MC and a barber and in the army. So he wears a lot of hats too. So
yeah, let's do it.
It's definitely hard on both sides because he's a creative in his own respect as well, and I'm like, there's certain things I'm not comfortable with. So yeah, that comes into the whole relationship side of things.
Yeah, so communication is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just my last question to caveat and just you know what I mean, finish this brilliant podcast, you know what I mean. Again, I thank Brittany for coming on.
This was so much fun. I love this.
Because she didn't have to, you know what I mean, but she definitely fucked with me and she blessed the podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Last question is, what are your dreams and what are you currently doing to achieve those dreams?
Okay. I had a lot of dreams, but mainly my dreams are to, like I said, to thrive in life. And I don't mean financially, as I said before. I really want to create like such a positive impact, even if it's one person, like I said before. It would be amazing if it was more than that, but that's just like the cherry on top. I would like to be the reason that someone like doesn't give up on themselves, or like someone, especially me, like I talk about a lot about my mental health and my struggles, like someone who may be suicidal or like thinking about like just in a real low place, like coming across my content and like inspiring them, or like kind of saying something that really strikes a chord within them to keep going. Like that's really like my main goal. And then with all of that, like I would like to make a living off of doing that so that I can also live like be financially free. You know, I don't want to be tied down to like, oh, we can't afford this, so we can't, you know, just be struggling. Like I'm tired of struggling, man. I'm so tired of it. It was my whole life. I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm so grateful for it because like I have a different type of drive because of it, but I don't want my daughter to know that, you know. And I guess that's ultimately like my driving force. My dream is to create just a fruitful life for myself, my family, where we can just enjoy life and not struggle and not worry about making ends meet and living paycheck to paycheck to pay the rent or buy groceries or whatever it is. And what am I currently doing to get there? I mean, everything I'm doing in my day-to-day, I'm really just trying to stay consistent, because that's always been my challenge, staying consistent with things, because I'm very, very emotionally tied to my craft and what I do. So if I'm like going through something in my personal life, it can affect my work. And I'm trying to separate that and like really be about my business a lot more. So, but at the same time, like I value my mental health and my self-care so much because I have neglected it so much in the past. So like finding that balance, that's really like my main intention right now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is, man. The wonderful Brittany. And then what's your last name?
My last name is Rendon. I haven't changed it yet. My husband's last name is Boots, so eventually I'll be Brittany Boots.
Okay. Well, there you guys have it, man. Thank you so much for coming here and you know what I mean, dropping the gems that you were dropping.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Because it was definitely well received on my end, and I know it's gonna be well received on their end.
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like I said earlier, I'm gonna link everything to whatever Brittany has going on. I'm gonna link her Instagram, her YouTube page, and her branding business too, cause you know what I mean, she's really dope at what she does. She's a phenomenal photographer. And I do recommend that you guys go over there and check out her page, because you won't be disappointed whatsoever. And I guess that's it. It's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.